Today I sit down with Stevan Tennant, MD of Development at Ballymore. We discuss the London market, how it compares to Europe, and the future of Ballymore. Enjoy! So thanks so much for joining us, Stevan. Would you start with telling us a bit about how you got into real estate?
Sure, and thank you, first of all, for inviting me to come today. Oh, my goodness. So I was born in Yorkshire, in the Yorkshire Dales, and I grew up there. My parents had a news agency, and my whole life growing up was all around being in the shop. So it was being a paperboy, 7 years old, on my bike, delivering papers. It was fantastic. And
Not development yet then.
No, exactly. Nothing to do with real estate, really, until kind of thinking about, what happens after school. And took one of those tests where they kind of tell you might be an astronaut or you might be something else. And a number of surveying kind of careers kind of came up out of the answers that I gave. And went through them, land surveyor, general practice, etc. And QS, quantity surveyor, was the one that really kind of captured my interest. So went to university in Nottingham, did a vocational degree. Luckily enough, I got my first job in Leeds.
Nice.
And yeah, that was it really. That sort of started my career in property.
And so how did you end up at Ballymore?
That's quite a long story, but I'm going to try and cut it down because obviously we've only got time. So my first job in Leeds was with a company called Rex Proctor & Partners, regional practice, did a lot of work with Morrison supermarkets. I moved to a company, E.C. Harris, and E.C. Harris were working with Asda stores, and I was basically managing the Asda store account, based in Asda House, a great experience. Got myself onto some kind of E.C. Harris fast track to promotion sort of thing. And an opportunity came up to move to Central Europe and manage a business that they were taking over in Prague. This was 2001. And jumped at that opportunity, moved to Prague with my soon-to-be wife, and we settled down in Prague. In 2005, I joined Ballymore after kind of finding them as a client.
Wow. So you had them as a client and then that's how you...
Correct.
And they ushered you back to London, or did you work from Prague?
No, so worked in Prague for till 2015.
Okay.
So my kind of first job in Ballymore, or first kind of career in Ballymore, was as head of cost management and procurement. And basically that involved buying all the kind of construction work and architectural work, professional fees, etc., for some really major projects. So all across Europe, Berlin, Bratislava, had a really big projects in Bratislava, Prague, Budapest, some assets in Paris and Cannes. Where else did we go? Wiesbaden, Brasov. So it was brilliant. It was a great experience. And then through kind of a series of circumstances, I went from being head of cost management and procurement to head of construction to general manager. And then the global financial crisis hit, and we had to dispose of all the assets due to the global financial crisis. So I then became land seller, so to speak.
Wearing different hats.
Exactly. And then moved to London 2015.
Wow. And so tell us about your role now that you're doing currently.
So I am managing director for development. What that means is basically I'm leading all our planning and pre-construction projects. We've got 15,800 homes in the pipeline at various stages. Some are at almost at acquisition stage, all the way through to things that are about ready to start on site.
So you've obviously had a huge amount of exposure, unlike a lot of people I think that have always worked either in the UK or definitely in London. You obviously had a lot of exposure to lots of European markets. What how do you differentiate between them and London, and what could London learn from them, and all those sorts of things?
That's a really good question. I think London and the UK needs to kind of actually to stop dumbing itself down.
Yeah.
I think it's fantastic in terms of a place to do business, in terms of the growth opportunities, all those sort of things. We look at a project we used to own in Prague. We acquired it in 2003. 2003. We sold it 2012, and it's only just got its planning.
Jeez.
So, people moan about the planning system in the UK. Actually, it's pretty established, and it functions compared to other places.
Yeah, I think that's so interesting, because there's a lot, I think particularly at the moment, there's a lot of negative propaganda around the UK and London, not just around development, but around a lot of other things. And I think it's often from people that haven't worked anywhere else, or that are always looking at sort of the grass is greener.
I think
the Middle East is a big conversation at the minute.
Yeah.
So it's nice to hear someone say some positive things
I think
about the London market.
London is still a global city, and I feel that London needs to kind of become the centre of the UK again, rather than being levelled down. Because to some degree, a lot of policies levelling down London to the rest of the UK to promote the rest of the UK. I think London is such a powerhouse that actually the rest of the UK benefits from London being that powerhouse.
Yeah. Do you think the other major cities in the UK could start to rival London, or not?
I mean, London's rivals are probably more likely to be New York or Paris or. I don't think the other cities really benefit from London being a super global city, rather than kind of feeling that they need to rival London in any kind of way. The UK works together as an ecosystem, and it needs to kind of function in that way.
And so you've obviously been at Ballymore a long time. They've kept you there. Tell us about Ballymore as a business, and what's made you stay with them for so long?
That's a good question. So Ballymore are a family-owned business. We are a leading property development company. A lot of our projects are residential-led.
Yeah.
I think we take on some really significantly important sites that take a lot of vision to bring forward. They take a lot of energy, passion.
Yeah.
And I think you see that through the developments that we've already completed.
Absolutely. I think that's a standout for you guys, I'd say. You're just, everyone uses like placemaking, design-led. They're all words that are thrown about so much in our industry. And I think when you walk, even just, the sneak peek of some of your newer sites you've given me, you can just tell they're a Ballymore product, and that's really, I think you should be proud to have achieved that. The
other thing that I think differentiates us or sets us apart a little bit is that we buy sites or acquire sites. They might be through partnership.
Yeah.
We get planning.
Yeah.
We then develop out that site. As in we build it, and we have our own construction team who build them.
Yeah.
And then we have a property management company at the end who also manage the properties long term.
Yeah.
So that might be minor interests such as the kind of freehold interest, or it might be that there's more of a management role related to asset management of a particular asset. But when we get planning from our local authority partners, it's to deliver it. It's not to flip on to someone else to go and deliver it.
And do you find that works in your favour when trying to buy some of the land?
That's it. I think we aren't buying a lot of land as it stands at the moment. A lot of the land that we're bringing forward for development now is through partnership.
Okay.
So it could be in partnership with local authorities. We've just started a partnership with Camden, which is a fantastic aligned partnership where we're both pushing for the same outcome, which is housing, planning, get and bringing a whole community along with us, or with the LLDC up in Stratford in terms of, so it's that type of acquisition that we have at the moment, rather than, in the land market trying to bid the highest possible number for a site, which I think there are issues with that ladens a site with a viability issue just from the get-go.
Yeah. And are you finding, is it a challenge getting people to partner with you, or do you find that actually a lot of people like to work with you guys as a partnership?
I think you'll have to ask our partners, but I think given that we continue to kind of grow our partnerships, so for instance, we've just agreed another partnership with Places for London to be their East London partner.
Wow.
I think we're flexible, and we find a shared objective and a shared outcome that we're all working towards, and I think that's what makes our ethos towards partnership, I think, a little bit different from other people.
And what's been your highlight of your career at Ballymore so far, would you say? Or one-off?
But there's been quite a few. I think a look at kind of projects I'm really proud of, like London City Island.
Yeah.
Super proud of what we delivered there, what the kind of long-term partnership that we created with the English National Ballet, and the way that we kind of helped each other during kind of difficult times like COVID. That's when you really find who your partners are and who your kind of friends are and things. Royal Wharf, really proud of Royal Wharf in terms of the way that we delivered nearly 4,500 homes in like 8 years there.
I remember going around Royal Wharf right at the beginning, like before anything was there, and it's just, and then you walk around it now, and it's just like it's
phenomenal.
Unbelievable.
It's phenomenal, and there's a fantastic community there. And I think the community is as strong as it is because of the speed of delivery, and it really is a strong community. And we've got another 3,500, nearly 4,000 homes in planning in that same little corridor. So there's lots more for us to do down there. But then I've just been back to Bratislava last week, where we delivered a really major city transformation. Basically we created a high street for Bratislava that didn't have a high street. I was in Bratislava seeing what that looks like 12 years on, and it was brilliant. So much fun to see it and see what someone else has done with it. We met our partner, J&T Real Estate, who took over from us and bought that project and have now delivered another, almost the same amount. But it was so cool to be back and seeing how it has worked.
That is really cool. Really, really cool. And what are so that's all the positives. What are some of the challenges that you are facing at the moment as a business, and are they ones that have happened before? Does it feel quite new? What's the sense you're getting in terms of the market?
I think that this is more challenging than the global financial crisis where we are today. It really is. And the reason why I say it's more challenging is because to solve there was a single issue in the global financial crisis. Yeah. That single issue was lack of liquidity. You apply quantitative easing, you apply money into the banks, and the system gets going again.
Yeah, it's a bit of a
There isn't that situation where we are today. There's so many different issues, and it's been let's say it's been coming for the last 10 years, ever since the private rental sector almost was forced into extinction where it is today, just through disincentivizing the private rental sector and essentially taking away all the kind of tax incentives that might have been behind that. The private rental sector has a really, really essential role to play in the supply of rental properties. Yeah. And that's just been eradicated from a new build standpoint. So that's just one of the issues. If you then look at from a demand side, the UK wants to deliver 1.5 million homes in this parliament, 300,000 per year. If you turn that into a London target, the London plan, or the London plan that's been consulted on, says that it wants to deliver 88,000 homes per year for the next 10 years. 88,000 homes. To build 88,000 homes, you need to sell 88,000 homes. And it's actually an equation which is actually quite lost on people. Yeah. They don't, they has to recognize that the market needs to function to be able to sell 88,000 homes.
Of course.
So if you consider that, say, 25 to 30% of those homes are going to be to registered providers. Yeah. It means that the registered provider sector needs to be functioning and capitalised in order to be able to buy the 25,000 homes that it needs to purchase, or 20,000 homes that it needs to purchase.
Yeah.
Then you've then got the build-to-rent sector. You know, the build-to-rent sector has obviously increased. It's on the up.
Yeah.
We're at what, about 10%, something like that, as it is today. So, but it's not delivering anything like that amount.
No.
If you apply that into the 88,000 homes, that's saying you need to do 9,000 homes a year. We're not doing 9,000 homes
No.
in build-to-rent. And then the residual have to go market sale.
Yeah.
Well, we're selling probably 6,000 homes, not 60,000 homes.
Yeah. Crazy.
You know, there's so much that actually needs to go into now stimulating the market sale sector again, and part of that probably does need to be the private rental sector again. And then another headwinds that we face remains kind of viability. You know, it's just the cost of actual development of residential product itself, and couple that with stagnant sort of sales growth, as in sales value growth. And there's just been this kind of continuous sort of piling on of cost onto developers, just assuming that they can all the time they can take it. And you just can't.
No.
The projects are just way too expensive.
Yeah.
And we're now having to forecast to sell properties at really quite unsustainable levels of value in order to be able to make a project viable. And something needs to change on that side.
And do you feel that you're being heard on that when raising it in the right room?
I think so. The problem is it's not an easy solution.
No.
So
my next question was going to be, if you had a magic wand, what would you do?
I think find a magic wand that can fix this problem. You know, it is that. You know, it's so difficult. There are some significant changes that need to happen.
Yeah.
I also think that I don't still feel that that it's recognised that it's actually okay to make a profit in delivering residential properties.
Of course, yeah.
And that should be seen as being a success rather than something which should be either capped,
hammered,
or swept or given to someone else. And I think it needs to be seen that it's actually good. It's like an infrastructure, and actually this is positive to make a return, to reinvest,
to do it again,
to do it again.
Yeah. And so I think you hit the nail on the head, and I think that's, you know, like you said, with the global financial crisis, it was pretty much a one fix kind of wonder, whereas now there's so many little things that need fixing. You know, it's interesting if any or some of them will get done, and if so, you know, if a couple of them get done, what's the impact then on that?
I think it's quite interesting that, you know, there's been some fantastic work that the government have done related to planning reform.
Yeah.
You know, really, really strong kind of recognition of what was wrong in the market and how, or in the system, and actually making quite significant strides towards fixing those things. I think they've seen there's been issues with the building safety regulator.
Yeah.
And I think, again, they've made strides to kind of make significant changes to the way the building safety regulator operates. And we're still to see, but I think, you know, there are positive signs related to improvement with Gateway 2 and how that moves forward. But the problem is, even if we didn't have the building safety, you know, the building safety regulator and the kind of delays in the Gateway process, I still sense that we'd be in the place that we are today, because
it's not the only problem.
The fundamental thing hasn't changed, which is the projects don't add up, and they don't, you know, viability is still a problem.
Yeah. And do you see the viability piece changing at all?
I think there's the right conversations are being had, certainly at GLA level. I think we are having, you know, I have this thing when I talk to politicians when it kind of, I'm talking to them and I'm looking at them thinking, all they're saying is, you would say that, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
And I think the good thing that we've been able to build up over the last year and a half, is that I've taken the attitude that actually if it's good for London, it's probably good for us.
Yeah.
Therefore, let's just talk about it on a London level, not on what's right for Ballymore.
Yes.
Because it's almost like a truck and trailer, that if the truck is going well, then the trailer is just going to keep going.
Yes.
And that's kind of us. That's us kind of following behind the good things.
That's a clever way of tackling, actually. I was privy, I think you and I spoke about this previously, but I was privy to a conversation a couple of months back that was like fascinating to me. So we were talking about, again, some of the problem, the fact that there's multiple problems, not just one. And someone I was with said to another developer, like, you're in the right rooms. You need to tell them all this. You need to be firm, and all this sort of stuff. And the developer that I was with was like, it's all very well and good saying that, but we've got a difficult part to play, because we can't just go kicking and screaming and stomping our feet.
That's right.
Because actually we have to have good working relationships, and things need to be positive, so that we are all working together.
Yep.
and it's working harmoniously, and it's going, and we're not getting pushed back on every single one of our sites and all things like that. So I think that's an interesting way of describing it, and therefore obviously tackling it when you are trying to get your point across.
We see it, and I think that you have to have an empathy in terms of what their pressures are in the background as well, and kind of work out actually what I often feel solutions are actually more difficult to deal with if you haven't got over the problem first. So you have to address, is there a problem in the first instance? Whereas there is a tendency just to jump to the solution straight away, or what you perceive as being the solution.
Yes.
Whereas actually, if you take more time working out what the problem is, I think you find the solution, even if it's really difficult. You get there together.
Yeah. And we spoke a bit about it. Something that Ballymore do really, really well is building that community and really building a place. 2 questions on that. What do you look for when you're walking around those sites that nobody sees a vision, and everyone probably walks around like, you're not going to make it into this? What are you looking for? And second of all, how do you do it? Because it's not as easy as just putting in a couple of nice restaurants and a nice bar and getting everyone to come and have a drink. How do you do it, or what do you think Ballymore does to do it so well?
Well, you say pioneering. We've got there by public transport, so fundamentally the site is well connected, and that we wouldn't go to a site that didn't have good public access from the first instance. You can't pioneer that much.
No.
We've kind of been in situations where you've had shuttle buses to get people from, I've seen that in Central Europe, and that is just
hard.
Not sustainable.
No.
That's not a thing. So we would only go to places that are fundamentally right from the beginning. I think the other thing that we really look for is who the local authority is. There are some fantastic local authorities that are really encouraging. And I think we would look to kind of feel, are we aligned, are our objectives aligned with the local authority? And then in terms of the community, it takes time. It really takes a long time to sort of sit down and talk to the community and make sure that we don't do developments to them. We do developments for them. And kind of when you land a spaceship in their community, there does tend to be that kind of kickback from it. Whereas if you can kind of develop something which they feel that they've had some party to, that kind of really makes a huge difference. There's an interesting documentary film which it's kind of mandatory viewing within Ballymore.
Okay, I'm going to write this down.
Which is called The Street.
Okay.
And it's about a street in Hoxton near Shoreditch, which is really close to our Bishopsgate Goodyard project. And it tells the story of development to that community, and kind of the way that the community reacted to it and what they say about it, and you could apply that same street to. It's not just a Hoxton thing. It's to all our development sites, and say it's mandatory viewing for Ballymore,
Everyone's
new
got to watch it.
employees. Exactly.
That's good. And were there any sites that you did that you just thought, God, this is going to be really difficult to please these people, and then suddenly really turned it around? Or
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I think often it depends on the process to planning. So if you look at our Brentford project looks amazing now. We've got great relationships with the local community, and the community have accepted it. They believe it's their place.
Yeah.
But that didn't come without a lot of effort.
Yes.
And through the kind of acquisition and CPO process and planning process, that was a really uncomfortable relationship that we had with the community. So, these relationships are hard fought, and also hard to build, as you say. Yeah.
Well, Brentford looks amazing now, so
you've
managed to do a good job on that one. They must be happy, surely.
Which we're so proud of, and we take everybody to.
Yeah, it's
Brentford.
Unreal.
And a lot of people kind of know Ballymore for what we do in East London.
Yes,
the towers
definitely.
and the kind of the more pioneer. You used the word pioneering before. The more it was there was an industrial site there, and it was a bit distracted from where the community was. Whereas Brentford is already a community, and it's people don't think of us doing a Brentford project, or didn't. I think they do now.
Yeah, definitely. And so on to sort of your role internally at Ballymore then. Obviously, it's not possible to do any of what you guys are doing without the right people. Do you think there is if you were to describe the culture, or when you're looking at hiring someone, is there something that really stands out for you when you want to hire someone into Ballymore?
Oh, for senior people, it's about personality.
Yeah.
And it's about the way that they approach people, the way they collaborate with people, their kind of empathy towards the partners that we will have. That is the number one trait that we look for. Obviously, you look for highly skilled people, have got the training and all those sort of things. But actually, what differentiates a high performer is personality.
Yeah.
On the more junior end, I think it's hunger. And it's kind of a what can I do for you rather than what are you going to do for me? Type
we lost
of
a bit
scenario.
of that, I think.
I think there's a little bit.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think that's what we look for, is really people that are going to come in and be really hungry and want to be with Ballymore.
Do you think since you joined the real estate industry, skill sets or necessary personality traits has changed over the years?
Skill sets, that's funny. So my mum, my goodness, thanks Mum, this was probably nearly 40 years ago, decided to send me to a touch typing course. And actually it was the most amazing thing to do, because obviously, what was that? In the mid-80s,
I remember I had a touch typing lessons.
I learned
had this
on one
thing
of those
that covered my keyboard. I remember it. It was like this bright orange silicone thing, and they used to put it over, and you'd have to get it all right. I do remember that.
So I get my 3 pieces of paper together with the carbon and chuck it all in. I went to night classes to do that. That was amazing. What a fantastic skill to learn at that time. So that was brilliant. So, I feel that the skills now, obviously, technology has changed everything in terms of what we're doing.
Yes.
But I think number one still comes back down to it's a people business.
Yeah.
And you've got to be able to build relationships with people in order to get things done. You can't do it via email.
No.
Email warrioring is not going to get you your planning permit or those sort of things.
How do you think technology will impact? Because everyone's talking, is your job going to be replaced by AI? It's like real buzzword, I guess. I agree with you. I think there's lots and lots and lots of roles that can absolutely be enhanced by AI or lots of technology, but can't be replaced. How do you think, or how have you seen, or how do you think technology will impact the real estate or building industry if it hasn't
I think it feels like the real estate industry has been a quite slow adopter
compared to others.
To AI,
yeah,
compared
definitely.
to other industries.
Definitely.
I think it can make some of the consultation processes more efficient.
Yeah.
I think it could help us get to communities in terms of identifying communities that aren't engaging.
Yeah.
But it's still going to need people to talk to people.
Yes.
And kind of present things to people and kind of listen to what's really key to those to people on the ground.
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting. You spoke a bit about how you're doing a lot of more partnerships with local authorities, and obviously a big topic at the moment is the lack of affordability in London for the average person to buy a home. How, has Ballymore adapted their strategy to try and sort of accommodate that? If so, how? And what do you think is the future of affordable homes in England?
I think that's a good question. So there's a couple of points probably want to raise. I mean, home ownership has become really quite unaffordable.
Yeah.
If you look at mortgage rates.
Yeah.
If you look at utility costs, if you look at insurance, all these things have really loaded and disincentivized home ownership. And, I feel that actually home ownership should continue to be an aspiration for people.
I think it still is. People are convinced that, people aren't as bothered now about owning a home. And I'm not sure everybody is, but I do, small pool of people, but if I was to ask most of my team, would you like to own a home? Most of them would answer yes, I think.
I hope and I agree. I agree with that. I think I worry that people don't feel it's attainable
100%.
just because of the cost of it.
Yeah.
And I think that something needs to change. I remember when I grew up, bought my first home, I was able to get relief off my mortgage. I got tax relief from my mortgage interest, and that was brilliant. That's why it's fantastic.
You were incentivized to do, rather than disincentivized to do it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then on the affordable home side, it's really tricky because if you look at the impact of the Building Safety Act on the way that the registered providers. Sorry, I was going to get into jargon there. In terms of the registered providers and the way that they now view kind of long-term ownership of their properties, the Building Safety Act has imposed an awful lot of additional costs on ownership long-term that they wouldn't have had previously. Yeah. And a lot of them have now moved towards low-density single-family housing or low-rise multifamily housing to avoid the statutory requirements of the Building Safety Act. Yeah. Now, if we want to build those 88,000 homes a year in London, they're going to need to be in buildings taller than 18 metres. Yeah. And that means that, people will need to want to live in higher-rise properties. Yeah. RPs will need to own higher-rise properties. Yeah. And we're still struggling to find RPs who will take our higher rise stock or higher rise product, which would be affordable housing within higher buildings. Plus, if it's a tall block that might be mixed tenure, so there might be the private above and the affordable below. Yeah. Nobody wants to take mixed tenure blocks. There's
Why?
Literally nobody in the market because of the management issues. It's not their own. It's not their own. Kind of plot of land that that they've bought. So we are going through the process at the moment of establishing our own registered provider. Yes. Quite developed and quite far advanced with doing that, and a lot of that's due to the 15,800 homes that I'm saying is in the pipeline. Yeah. If we can't get an RP to take the affordable homes within those plannings, there will be no 15,800 homes. So, it's the number one risk that we're facing. There's financial risks, there's other kind of planning risks, but fundamentally, the risk of not being able to find an RP still remains probably at the top.
Yeah, okay, interesting. So what's on the cards for Ballymore? What's exciting that's coming up? What are you, that you can tell us? You might not be able to tell us all of it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I think I'm probably most excited about the things I don't know yet. So kind of what happens now with Places for London and, and the kind of East London partnership that we've got. We've got partnerships we've got partnership with Network Rail. We've got partnership with LLDC. You know, it's probably the things that I don't know. Are probably, you know, making me kind of be, you know, get out of bed each morning. Kind of that is the really exciting part.
Yeah, well, I think that's interesting because it's like you're doing, you know, everyone, for a long time, people have gone, oh, you know, we're waiting for the market to get better. We're waiting for the market to get better. And, you know, I think it got to a point probably about a year ago where people start to realise that this is the market now. You have to just trade through it. And I think what sounds so interesting about what you guys are doing is changing, not completely, but changing of strategies and changing of directions and actually embracing the new. You know, if you've got all these interesting partnerships and different ways of doing things, as you say, it means that it's not quite so monotonous and you're not getting out of bed doing exactly the same thing every day, hoping that it's going to be as good as last year. And also you're just embracing the way that the market is going. And
it's not a seismic change that we're making. You know, this isn't somehow some drastic pivot in some way. This has been quite organic in terms of the way that we've kind of moved ourselves into the partnership space. We were always good at partnerships. You know, some of my projects in Central Europe were partnerships. You know, we've always been good at those because I think there is just something about our organisational culture that wants to work with people and wants to kind of do things together. Yeah,
that's nice. Well, thank you. We normally finish with some quick fire questions, so are you all right for me to put you on the spot? So first and foremost then, best piece of career advice you've ever received?
Oh my goodness. I don't know if this is career advice, to be honest. I think it's been kind of know what you know and know what you don't know. And I don't think that's career advice necessarily, but it's certainly kind of job advice. And I think I've always tried to keep that in my mind.
Yeah, nice. Favourite season and why?
Season, my goodness. Oh, I like skiing.
Okay, so
why not? Why not have winter? Yeah, exactly.
Are you? God, I'm opposite. I'm definitely a summer. I'm not a skier. You told me actually off air that you do a lot of flying. So my question is, where do you sit on the plane? What's your order? And any non-negotiables when you're getting prepared for your flight?
Oh my goodness. So sit on the plane, short haul. So this changes whether it's long haul or short haul.
Okay, you got rules.
So short haul, definitely in the aisle near the front as I can.
Yeah. Is that so you can get off fast?
Yeah. 100%. Then for long haul, it's by the window.
Okay.
Don't know why.
No, it's all right.
I don't like people stepping over me.
No, I don't like that
it's
either.
Sort of a bit odd. I'm not a kind of a dwell at the airport.
You're in and out.
I come efficiently. Yeah.
I noticed that when I flew out of City Airport for the first time. It was brilliant. I just thought they've nailed this. Like this is miles better than any other airport, I think, in London. You just straight through.
Exactly. And I think the one last thing is don't panic.
Oh, that's good.
Because you can't affect if you're, I don't know, on a train on the way to the airport and it's running late. You can't change it. You can't.
Have you missed a flight? Do you miss flights?
I've missed one flight.
Oh, that's good going, considering.
But I didn't just miss it. I missed it by an absolute mile. So it was a trip down to Gatwick. East Croydon had kind of had some train issue at East Croydon.
Oh, no.
Everybody was in a taxi. I basically queued from London Bridge to Gatwick Airport. And I didn't just miss it. I missed it by about 3 hours. Absolutely ridiculous.
Well, at least you didn't see it taking off.
No, exactly.
That would have been dreadful. That would have been dreadful. And final question we asked this for everyone: if you could own any building in the world, what would it be and why?
Oh, I don't know. This is the answer to the question that you asked, but I would just like to live in Italy, in Tuscany, and really nice wine, great weather.
You just told me you're a winter person.
I know, but
you can ski though, I suppose.
Exactly,
you could travel to
ski there, and great food. So I think that would be lovely.
Is that your plan then? Is that the?
I don't know. Who knows?
Oh well, thank you so much, Stevan. Great to talk to you. Thanks.